welcome everybody to another episode of the Pierce Brothers. Happy 4th of July weekend. We had put the dogs away. If you watched our video yesterday, they stole the show. We got to have the show on us.
They were harassing.
You know, get more comments than we do.
I know. Can we file a lawsuit against Porter for harassment? His stinky dogs were all over us. All I smell is stinky dog now because I just their pet down the road.
They're sticking their head in the dog food bag.
Anyways, we appreciate you guys hopping on. We're a small channel compared to YouTube channels, and we're trying to grow. So make sure and like, share, subscribe. We do have a channel membership and a Patreon. If you'd like to support us that way, we appreciate that a lot. We do monthly live videos with those members. Patreon, we're still figuring that out, as we found out on our last attempt, but
didn't work out as well as we hoped.
Yeah, but just know we've got a lot of great content planned for Patreon and member only. Those will be dropping here over the next month, our first round of those. But with that being said, BBQ Guns. We're going to start with Jake, and we'll just roll right down the line and finish with Dad. But happy 4th of July again. If you haven't watched our most American guns and gun designs from yesterday, go watch that video. We think that's a pretty awesome, or 2 days ago. That dropped Friday. Today's Sunday. So, yep, Jake?
Okay, so my first BBQ gun is my Dragoon. This is it started out life as a Uberti Dragoon Captain Ball revolver. I sent it to Mike at Goon's Gun Works, and we used a curse conversion cylinder, converted it to 45 Colt, and of course he did his whole 9 yards on his working the thing over. So, you know, retimed it, got an action stop, corrected the arbor issue, put in a adjustable bearing surface for the wedge, did coil spring actions, interference pins so the action screws don't come loose. I mean, just kind of got the end shake down to like 2,000, something like that. So it's a really tight gun.
I got to inject Jake. For what he charges for that, he's a bargain.
Oh,
I mean, it's like a fraction of the cost of what most gunsmiths would charge for similar work.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and his work is really good. I've got 5 or so guns.
A lot of them.
Yeah, and he's got 2 more right now. They should be finishing up here soon. And
Jake's turned into a custom revolver guy now.
Yeah. Well, he does really good work. He and the trigger pull, I think he put this one down to like 3.5 pounds, something like that. I mean, he does really good work. He put coil springs for the hand spring and the bolt trigger springs, so you'll never break one of those springs. Let the main spring, just the standard leaf spring, but yeah, I mean, he does a lot of work to these things. And well, the reason I'm picking this as a barbecue gun, though, is sometimes when you're at a barbecue, just a big gun draws attention. And the Dragoon is certainly a big gun.
Pulls your pants down.
Yeah.
attention for the wrong reason.
Yep. So, yeah, it's not like this is even. I mean, it's a nice revolver, and all the work on it makes it a nice revolver. But like, just the size of it is what generally draws attention. You know. So, and of course, you have to pair it with a good holster. This one was made by Graveyard Jacks. Actually, an extremely good holster. You can find his stuff on Etsy, but it's one of the most sturdy holsters I've ever owned. Actually, probably the most sturdy. Really good leather, good stitching. Just did a really good job with the pattern on the outside. Yeah. So
pretty handsome looking holster for a cheaper holster, you know.
Yeah. So, anyways, so that's that pick. My number 2 pick is a fancy gun. This is my cylinder and slide 1911. I know I've talked about this gun in other videos, and we've taken some video footage of it and stuff, but once you get it in hand, though, you realize how nice of a gun this is. The polish work alone is better than almost any gun I've ever seen, actually. I don't know, even like you compare the finish on this to a registered Magnum, and this is a nicer, they've spent more time on polish work and a nicer finish than a registered Magnum even, you know? So,
right.
I mean, it's a really, really nice gun. And, and holstered, it's almost, I don't know, you don't really see much of the gun because it's all stuffed in a holster, so it's kind of a sleeper barbecue gun to a certain extent, you know. So
It's a fancy looking gun though.
yeah, once you get it out of the holster, then people are like, oh, that's nice.
Wow. We were trying to take some close-up footage of it for our American Guns video, because the 1911 we featured in that, and we could see the reflection of the camera coming down. You know, it's like, oh well.
Yeah, it's a very hard gun to photograph or film because of that. It's just any angle is like, it's almost like a mirror, you know.
Yeah.
So
It's beautiful.
yeah.
Every line is perfectly straight on that gun too.
Yeah.
I've got the cursed eye, as they say, and I pick up imperfections in polish work and in manufacture of guns and so on, and that thing is just literally flawless. I mean, it's an incredible gun.
Yeah. And the coolest part about this, normally you consider this type of craftsmanship with, you know, guys that lived in the pre-war years, and yet this was done in 2011, 2012, right in there. So there's still some Americans out there that can put out guns like this. So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yep. I think we'll just skip Porter.
Yeah.
You'll see why in a minute.
You'll see why in a sec.
Brought up my CZ. well, in a world full of Glocks and SIGs, I think everyone at a barbecue should just quit wearing those things and just throw them in the dumpster. I hate those fucking guns. and
So Porter brings out his dirty CZ.
Yeah.
Look how
dirty
shiny
that is. But seriously though, like in a world full of SIGs and Glocks, it's nice to have a little bit of something different to wear. Somebody
it's not even a shadow with all the fancy colors.
No.
It's a 75 tactical.
Hey, it's the SPO1 tactical.
SPO1 tactical.
Well, and here's my thoughts.
All right, you guys, let us know in the comments how good Porter's choice is.
I don't have fancy guns, okay?
Porter's the use and practical gun guy. He doesn't have fancy collector's guns, as you'd say.
I tried to talk him into stealing his wife's. She has a beautiful nickel-plated Uberti with carved spearhead stalks.
That's the nicest gun I have, and it's like $600. like fancy wise. Other than that, I'd rather have a gun that I can go out and hike through the hills and shoot stuff with. Like Dad's always giving me crap when he gave me my Marlin 94 357. It was actually in pretty good shape. You know, the bluing was in good shape, the wood was in good shape. Now you look at it and it doesn't even shoot anymore. You can't get the darn thing to shoot very well.
He just used an extra excuse when we outshoot him.
Yeah. Well, no, I've shot thousands and thousands of rounds through that gun and beat it to crap, you know, and it's like, I didn't even mean to beat it to crap, but just use kind of just takes its wear on it. And, you know, all my guns, if you look at them, it's like every scratch, every dick or ding has a reason behind it.
All right. We're going to move on from the CZ guy now.
For instance, my Ruger New Vaquero, there's a great big green scuff.
We're not related to him, FYI.
There's a great big green scuff down the side of the grips there, and that's from when I was breaking a Colt, and he was bucking around the trail, and he was going pretty good, but I was getting him rode. And at one point, he slammed up against the panels, and that green panel paint rubbed off on the gun. So I know I can remember the exact moment that happened, and you know, it's like, you know, it has a reason why it got beat up, and it's like I didn't go in and buff out the green paint off of it. I was like, nope, it has a story behind it now, you know. So it almost feels bad to take a gun that you have a story behind that ding or that scratch and go, you know, polish it back out and make it look pretty again. It's like, no, leave it alone. It's a good story, you know.
Yep. All right, Port, you done talking about your beat up CZ?
Yep, it's better than a Glock and better than a SIG. At least it won't blow your balls off.
All right, on to me. Glad we got that over with.
Where's the mute button?
I know, where's the mute?
Just gag him.
Yeah, throw him in the back, yeah. All right. I brought two here. I've got my barbecue knife and my barbecue gun. So my barbecue gun, I've got my USFA 45 Colt. This is a rodeo model that we antiqued, and it's got some yellow ivory drips.
They're
Yeah.
called true ivory.
Yeah.
Aged
Fake
ivory.
Yeah.
They're unfortunately
Anyways.
out of business, but they did a great imitation ivory stock.
Yeah. So it's but I wanted a gun that was like John Wayne's guns from most of John Wayne's movies growing up. You know, Big Jake or True Grit, two of my
Yeah.
favorites.
Yep.
And
Rooster Cogburn.
yeah,
I don't think he was using that gun in those, was he? In Rooster Cogburn?
he did.
Yeah, he
Rooster
did.
Cogburn, True Grit,
Yeah.
Big Jake. A lot of
Yeah.
his movie you used that single action. So that's what I wanted was a John Wayne gun. So that's my John Wayne gun.
Yep.
Got that for being an Eagle Scout, right?
Yeah, yeah. So when each of us boys, except for Porter, who didn't get an Eagle Scout, got our.
No, Will was the one that failed.
Oh, Will didn't.
I got my
All
Model
right, yeah.
28 for
Okay.
for Eagle Scout.
Anyways, I wanted a John Wayne gun for finishing that, so Dad got me that. You know, back when we got them, they were like $400, you know, back in those days.
Yeah, now it's a $2,000
Yeah,
revolver or more.
Yep. So for knife choice, I have a half-face blades cav.
That's actually a pretty nice knife. I was looking at
pretty
it up
nice. Yeah, it's
close.
got an elk split in the middle. It's got elk antler, and then you've got your. It's either I don't know if that's resin or carbon, the black gold carbon, and then you've got ironwood for the ends. You've got a red, white, and blue Patriot pins. It's got an acid splash finish on there in a pattern, not just a random pattern like some. But this is made by Half Face Blades. The cav knife is special in that the owner and founder of Half Face Blades he was a Navy SEAL, and one of his Navy SEAL compadres helped design that knife before he was killed. So that knife is in memory of him. They do the full size like this one. They do a junior, but they designed it as an outdoor backpacking hunting knife. So it's a real great skinning knife. And 10% of all of the Cav knife sales go to a foundation of the Kavner family's choosing. So that's kind of a neat other side note of that. So anyways, that's a pretty cool, very well-made custom knife from Half Face Blades.
I love the back side of that.
Yeah, yeah.
The way they've cut
Roughed out
That's
type of.
Yeah.
Very custom, that.
So
Yeah.
you picked a knife for a barbecue knife, and it's not a Randall.
Nope. I don't own a Randall yet.
You fool.
I know. I need to get a Randall someday, but all right, Dad.
So, you guys probably expect me to pull something out fancy. A Glock?
Yeah, see, that's
How'd that get
that's
mixed
why
in
I have my CZ.
So, you have to have some humor here, you guys. So,
Put your dogs in back.
I'm still
She was supposed to be. Let me get her out of your way, Dad. Keep going. Come on.
I'm still of the opinion that there's no more handsome handgun ever made than the Colt single action. And as anybody that's watched our channels long, figured that out. They know my love and respect for them. Here's one that I shoot, but it doesn't get hard use, if you know what I mean. And it's a fully engraved gun. It's got carved mother of pearl stocks. It was made, can't quite make that out, but somewhere around shortly after 1900. And it's a master pattern engraving, but this gun's actually a copied pattern from what's commonly known as the Bob Meldrum gun. It's a very intricate pattern, very difficult. Literally costs 3 or 4 times more to have this gun engraved than other guns that look very similar. Most people would look at it and say, well, I don't see a huge difference, but when you start showing some of the artistic work and detail, this is a really high-end gun. So that's a good example of a barbecue gun. It's also in a holster that I had to El Paso Saddlery build me years ago, a Tom 3-person style, a model 1920. It's got some of our old family cattle brands on it, including the gun sight and the broken circle, the box L, the flying V, and etc. Anyway, that's a good example of a true barbecue gun that people don't get to see that type of workmanship very often. But I threw in a gun that it's like, you know, I kind of have always been of the opinion, you take an old gray Colt that's been beat to death and it shows life on the frontier. And it's like, man, if this gun could just talk, if we knew what it's been through, what it's done, who carried it, the history behind it, Many of them we do know that, but many of them we don't. But then you take a gun that literally looks brand new, and it's like that's set in somebody's top drawer and never got used. It didn't get bucked off. It didn't go down a mountain slide. It didn't get used in a holdup. It was nothing. It was a zero, even though it's a high condition gun and worth a lot of money.
About my new Vaquero is valid.
So
I love it when you guys make my point.
Yes. So I'm doing a gun here that's that I've had this gun a long time, 30 years or so, more than that. And it's a gun made in 1901. It started life as a 41 Colt. It is now a 45 Colt. But I got this gun from Eddie Janis of Peacemaker Specialists. Now, single action Colt guys will know who he was. He did fabulous restoration and remodel work, custom work, tuning, just whatever needed to be done. And he acquired this gun and built it for himself. And basically, he put in new barrel and cylinder, and he antiqued those to match the rest of the gun. He put in, like oversized bolt, and took all the end shake out, locked the cylinder up incredibly tight, even put a hammer stop on the inside of the trigger guard so that when you run the gun hard, that hammer hard, it doesn't ever overcam. And so the action, this gun's literally run tens of thousands of rounds with me, and it's been an incredibly accurate gun. He also did the chambers correctly, which Colt quit doing in modern times. Two larger throats basically, but he did the throats correct at 452. They correspond with the barrel. The gun is incredibly accurate. And so Eddie and I were at the Shootist Holiday, and this was of course his personal gun. He used it on his website for years. He used it in promotional photos and literature. So there's pictures of this gun everywhere. But he called me one day shortly, let me back up. We were at the Shootist Holiday in Buena Vista, Colorado at that time. And he said, Brian, why don't you try this gun? So I pulled up and shot it. It's like, man, Eddie, this thing shoots really good, doesn't it? He goes, it does. And he explained what all he did to it, and I very much liked the gun. So I failed to mention, he put original roll mark back on the barrel. It looks like an original gun, but it's all modern inside, if you will. So I shot it, and shot it some more, and shot it some more. Well, not long after the holiday, of course, Eddie was a one-man shop, and feeding a family and so forth and so on. And he called me not long after the holiday. He said, Brian, remember that Colt you liked so well? I said, yeah. He said, you interested in buying it? And I says, oh, I was afraid you were going to say that. How much? So the check went out the mail that day, and I got my new gun. And it's been a wonderful gun. I've carried and used this gun a lot. It's absolutely one of my favorite Colt single actions. So at one time, I'm not always the biggest fan of stag grips, or stag stocks as we'd say. Usually they're a little wide, and this one's no exception. They're pretty wide. I generally prefer a much narrower stock. And so I changed out the stocks on it to ivory at this time, and the boys were quite young at this time, and we'd gone up to an area here north of here in central Idaho called Warm Springs, and she hasn't seen me for like a week, and she really misses me. Anyway,
she wants to stay on the front porch. I'm sorry.
I've got a pup out of here. I'll do a video on him one of these days, because you'll find that video interesting. So we'd been camping for, I don't know, 3 or 4 days, and I had business in Salmon, and so Susan and the boys were going to turn and head home. I got up early and ate breakfast, and then got right on the road in my old truck and headed across the opposite direction, headed to Salmon, and cruising along and almost there, and dang if I didn't see a wolf. Well, I jumped out with this gun and shot him, and it was totally legal, because wolf hunting was legal at the time, and so on, as it is now. And I believe that was probably the first wolf killed with a handgun in modern times in Idaho. So maybe not, but I believe it was. And but the gun just shoots dead on for me. The action is incredibly smooth. The trigger is just crisp as it comes. It's like a finely tuned Smith & Wesson double action revolver. Incredibly crisp trigger. So anyway, one of my favorite Colts, and to me that makes probably a better conversation piece than the high grade, fully custom engraved gun. Maybe not. It's always fun to see a to see a truly work of art. That here's a working gun. By the way, those that are wondering, I have it in a George Lawrence 120 holster. Why you're gonna get it?
She used that nose like a weapon, you know.
Yeah, she comes up, hey, pet me.
She's a good dog. Anyway, I have it in a Lawrence 120 holster on a canvas cartridge belt, which is lightweight. It does not corrode the ammunition or corrode my bullets, as Barney Fife would say. It doesn't corrode ammunition. I actually very much like them for a working rig, and they're cooler in the summer and so forth. But so that's a second barbecue gun that's not fancy, but very good quality, very interesting gun. Some stories. I've even taken deer with this gun. So yeah. Anyway, there you have it.
Yeah, well, thanks for watching, guys. Again, happy 4th of July weekend. What are your favorite barbecue guns? Let us know in the comments. And go watch our other videos from this weekend, our most American guns, and then our favorite patriotic stories. Those both went out the last 2 days. So I'm about to sneeze, but thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, and we'll see you next time.